In the parking lot of a strip mall because I got my dinner, which is a Jamba Juice, and I've been thinking. Not that I've been sitting in the strip mall with my Jamba Juice and thinking. I've just been thinking for a little while and decided that since I was here, I would start recording this. Recently, and by recently I mean the last day or two or a couple days, I've lost count. Social media has exploded. And I don't mean the general concept of social media. I mean on social media, a news story has exploded. And one that I ignored up until people started spouting certain turns of phrase, that always trigger my need to strangle. I'm sure you guys and gals have heard of this, but the recent debacle that's being espoused on the internet has to do with the Duck Dynasty guy. Apparently, one of the stars of the show Duck Dynasty, which is a show on A&E, I think. I don't know. I've never watched it. I have no interest in it. But apparently, this popular show, one of the representatives of this show, one of the stars of the show, expressed his personal opinion and was fired for it. Apparently, somebody had asked him his opinion about homosexuality, and he expressed his personal beliefs, and he was fired from the show. The A&E, I believe that's the network, let him go. Now that's where all the indignance comes from. The fact that he expressed his personal opinion and was punished for it. Now, that's not what triggered me. Okay, what triggered me is the words freedom of speech. Once again, we're in a situation where everybody and their brother and sister and nephew and niece and mom and dad scream at the top of their lungs, freedom of speech. The words freedom of speech. This guy had his freedom of speech repressed and was punished for speaking his personal opinion. So, of course, after hearing this for day in and day out, and having it eat at me and eat at me and eat at me, I've pushed it off and pushed it off and pushed it off, till finally I was looking at Facebook, and once again somebody else was going off about the fact that, oh, I don't agree with their particular philosophy, and I don't agree with what they said, but they have every right to say it, and they shouldn't be punished for it. Freedom of speech. Freedom of speech in America means that you're guaranteed the right to express yourself freely without legal ramification. To an extent, you know. You are free to go out on the street corner and berate Barack Obama till you're blue in the face. You can do that. And a cop will not slap handcuffs on you and take you away and put you into prison for it. Unless, of course, you're being a serious public nuisance and you're creating a spectacle, and then you could actually be breaking other laws. But that's not the point. That's what freedom of speech means. That's what it means. That is what it means. That is what it means. It means that you have the freedom to express your beliefs without government involvement. You don't go to prison. Don't get arrested. Freedom of speech doesn't mean with impunity. It does not mean that you have the right to say whatever the fuck you want without repercussion. It doesn't mean that. It doesn't. I don't know where these America people come from with this philosophy. That's not what freedom of speech means. There are repercussions for actions. If you go into a black neighborhood and start screaming nigger at the top of your lungs and somebody comes up and punches you repeatedly in the face, freedom of speech has nothing to do with it. Has nothing to do with it. You had every right to do so. Did a cop come and arrest you? No, but you got your ass beat. Why? Because there are repercussions for the things that you say. This guy, who's being paid by a television network for his face and his name to be a part of a show that represents their network, this guy, who is now a celebrity and therefore doesn't really have a private life anymore because he's a public figure, When people see him, when they see his name, it is associated with the show. The show is associated with the network. So if Billy Joe Bob goes out in the middle of the fucking neighborhood and starts screaming nigger at the top of his fucking lungs, it is not Billy Joe Bob screaming nigger. It is Billy Joe Bob, the star of, from this show on this TV network. That's exactly what it is. Doesn't matter if Billy Joe Bob's personal opinion is what it is. Billy Joe Bob is welcome to have his opinion. But there are repercussions for having opinions like that are expressed. Now, the argument being put forth is that it was his personal opinion. Somebody asked him, when you are a celebrity, there is no such thing as private anymore. Whether or not I agree with that is irrelevant. There is no such thing as private. This dude, if he espoused these beliefs in his home, in his bedroom, under his bed, covered in covers, surrounded by styrofoam, so that no noise could leak out whatsoever, but that information was leaked by his wife to the news, and he was associated with it. It's now associated to him. He's been associated with a corporation. The corporation decides, this image is not representative of what we believe in. This image does not represent my company. I do not want one of the people I'm paying to represent my company in this fashion. He's a bigot. We do not hire bigots. We don't want this guy's bigoted opinion to be a representation of the company. He is not Billy Joe Bob, normal guy anymore. He's Billy Joe Bob, the star of the show on this network. That's the part that's driving me absolutely fucking crazy. He's not an individual. He does not have individual opinion anymore. When he gets paid for his face and his name to be associated with something, then his personal space is gone. It's gone. Gone. No more. Poof. Gone. So everybody out there that gets up and screams and hollers about his personal space being violated and his freedom of speech being violated, shut the fuck up. That's not the case. He cannot have a personal opinion anymore when it becomes public knowledge. If he was in his bedroom, under his bed, surrounded by styrofoam, covered in blankets, and nobody heard him, he could say whatever the fuck he wanted because there's no outside effect. None. When his statements become public knowledge and are spread to the public domain, it is now a representation of the company. The company did not want that to represent them. They got rid of the element that was representing them that way. He was fired because his opinion reflects the company. It doesn't matter that you think it was his personal opinion. It doesn't matter that it was his personal opinion that was being espoused. The problem is that his personal opinion no longer is personal because it represents the company that he's being paid by to work for. That's it. That's the end of the story. There was no violation of freedom of speech because dude's not in prison for saying what he fucking said. The repercussions of his actions were he was fired by the company. The company did not want him representing them. That's the story. That's exactly what's going on. We're not talking about this one individual guy. We didn't go into the neighborhood in Wisconsin, pull some dude out of his house, and fire him because he said something that his company didn't agree with. And even though that does happen all the fucking time. It happens all the time. Somebody works at a company, posts something on Facebook saying, I hate my boss, I hate my job. The company finds out about it, they get fired. It happens. You are representing the company in a public domain, therefore, the reaction is coming to that action. Said something in public, represents the company because you're getting paid by them, the company decides they no longer want that representation. Hopefully that cleared things up, because it's just driving me nuts to hear so many people say this shit over and over again without any logical progression to it at all. It just drives me fucking crazy.